The Blocktalk podcast started because of my passion for the property management industry. I wanted to start a conversation and add some value within the industry with a diverse range of people and professionals who can add something extra. As we start out, my aim is that the podcast offers some useful insight into a variety of views, opinions, thoughts, and foresights from our guests, who include business leaders and industry experts. If you enjoy the podcast and want to find out any other information, head on over to brianwelsh.co.uk. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Blocktalk podcast with me, Brian Welsh, and Jax Bruce. Jax, how are you today?
I'm all right. It's quite warm outside, which is nice, and I've got the gym tonight, and this is tonight, so now the gym instead of Cubs until the Cubs go back, so
All right, okay.
It's quite nice having that little, looking forward to that burst of energy. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm just back from holiday, actually, so I've had a week down on the Isle of Wight. It was too damn hot, and it's good to be back to only 20-odd degrees in Scotland. So, yeah, I think I had to go and sit in my car and go somewhere so I can get in some air conditioning over the last week. So yeah, it was very, very hot, but a very good break as well. Cool. Okay, so today we're chatting to Joe Tallon, who is a partnership manager at Blink, a payment platform that we have teamed up with CPL. And in fact, my inside business deals with them as well. Joe's been with Blink for 4 years now and has previously worked in business development. Joe, good to talk to you. How are you doing?
Yeah, really good, Brian. No complaints about the weather this end. New homeowner, so just lovely to be out in the garden. Sun on my back, trying to make some progress with a load of weeds. So yeah, no complaints here.
Good. To be fair, I'd complain if it was raining, and I'd complain if it was too hot. Today's actually quite
can't please.
It's one of those things. It's one extreme to the other for sometimes. Good. So I'm not sure a huge amount of people will know who Blink are.
Yep.
We've certainly been talking to you guys for some time. So do you want to give us your elevator pitch for Blink just to start with?
Yeah, sure. I can imagine not a lot of people would know who we are. We rebranded maybe 2 years ago to Blink, so previously Fidelity Payment, and with that we've got a sort of a whole new mantra, a whole new ethos. So I think best to start with that. What we believe in here is that businesses, at the end of the day, businesses just want to get paid, and that's what we try and facilitate as best as possible. So what we offer is a payment platform, Blink, the payment platform, providing 3 different payment rails to businesses to get paid on. So that will be your classic card payments, so credit card, debit card, corporate cards. We also facilitate direct debit payments, and we also offer open banking, which is a relatively new piece of technology. It falls into a number of different areas. Obviously, for us, we would manage the process of open banking payments from clients to from property management clients to property management businesses. We work heavily in the property management sector, partner with yourselves, obviously, to improve the payment journey for a number of businesses. Trying to improve solution, make that payment journey a lot easier, a lot more flexible for payees and payers. And then also, assess regulation, assess fraud, make sure everyone's tip-top with their security around their payments, because that is a bit of a an area of almost a taboo area still, I think. If you look at people's perception of fraud within payments, it's still somewhere that people are quite cautious of.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question, actually. So especially when using cards online, so do you want to go through some sort of chat? Do you want to talk to us about the fraud prevention that you do?
Yeah, sure. The exciting topic of fraud prevention. Yeah, sure, Brian.
I sound excited about it. Come on, it is interesting.
That's really poor on me to not get excited about that. But like I said, it's an area that people still do get concerned about, and I suppose rightfully so. Unless you really understand, all the security measures within that payment journey. For example, if you're paying via card over the internet and you're putting your card details in, I can understand why people might be a bit cautious or might be a bit worried that they're giving these sort of real sacred details that connect, to their bank account out without fully understanding what's going on behind the scenes. But yeah, we've got a number of different fraud prevention measures on the platform. I mean, first of all, 3D Secure version 2. I mean, for a business, it's brilliant. It allows you to, remove any risk of a fraudulent chargeback, so that any sort of fraud happening with this two-factor authentication removes all that risk. It's brilliant. And then also for the person that's paying, if you're putting your details into a secure pay link that we send out, for example, from our platform, you can send out a pay link that you can pay via open banking or card. The authentication measures on there, it means that you're not at risk of your card being frauded, and you checking your bank account one morning and seeing, oh my god, where's all that money gone from? I've not made those transactions myself. So that's the first real basic one when it comes to card payments. I think other measures as well with the platform, we are fully PCI compliant. We store and tokenize all card details on our own servers, fully secured, fully encrypted, which means for a business using it, brilliant. You can, have all of those card details saved, stored safely, so that, for example, if you have repeat customers, you don't have to ask them for their details every time, but you're also not taking on that compliance risk by storing them yourselves. For example, if you took a payment over the phone and someone read their card details out to you and you said, don't worry, I'll save those for later when you pay next week, massive PCI risk. You can't just, have someone's card details written down on a piece of paper. But any transaction they do take through the Blink platform, they automatically save those details. It'll be fully encrypted. You can access them to make payments later, but you never see the details. It's all on our server and fully encrypted. But yeah, on that, I suppose our platform, one of the main reasons for doing it was to sort of reassure our merchants, our clients, that they are fully compliant, that there's no risk for fraud or anything like that. So it's a measure that we've been fully conscious in the development of the platform of. So when I've mentioned earlier, we can send out pay links. So a pay link is the ability to send out a payment request from our platform. That's done securely to an email or to via SMS to a phone. And what that does is it takes you to a secure pay page. So say, for example, you, Brian, wanted to charge someone £50 for something. You would, put that into the system. It would send it out. Customer would receive that. They put the card details in themselves. I mean, that's a big tick for sort of customer confidence already, because you're not having to read anything out over the phone or anything. You are in control of inputting those details. And then when you do it that way, there's no risk of chargeback because 3DS2 is in play. You have the two-factor authentication, you put it in yourself, fully secure, goes back to our system, receipts, etc., sent out. So great for the person actually paying because they feel a lot more comfortable in the paying, and then also great for the property management company that's sending that pay link out, because they know they're at no risk of fraud. There's no chargeback going to be coming to them, unless of course it's a chargeback because they haven't given the product, for example. But in terms of fraud, completely removes it.
No, that's interesting. So you mentioned property management companies, obviously, because that's what CPL does, and that's where the kind of relationship between Blink and CPL has come about. Do you want to talk? I mean, I can talk about this as well, but do you want to let me know what you would say the three most useful benefits of Blink for certainly CPL clients are?
Yeah, sure. I mean, you mentioned there, obviously, I spoke about property management because it is more applicable to yourself and to this conversation. But we work with pretty much across any industry, anyone that does take a payment, not just a card payment anymore, any form of payment we can work with. But I suppose specifically for CPL clients, I think number one by a long way is our seamless integration with the CPL platform. So you can be on that platform and you can take your card payments through it directly, which means you don't have to navigate away from the platform, log into anywhere else and manage the payment function that way. It's all on there. So it makes it really slick, really easy to do. You've got full visibility, from point A to end of payment, point of sale. So I think that's the no-brainer really, in terms of the first benefit to CPL clients. I think number two is more, maybe if we delve into the reporting and the reconciliation aspects. Obviously, you have everything on the platform, but what we're offering now to all of our clients is complete visibility, control, and accuracy on all of their reporting for any payment function. So whether it's a card payment, someone's paid a service charge via debit card, whether someone's set up a direct debit to pay every month, or maybe someone's paid via an open banking transaction. Every single form of payment will then come together in one place on our Blink platform. So not only are we giving people the ability to request and take multiple payments on one platform, you've also got the ability to then report and reconcile every single form of payment on the same platform. So what we're doing, which no one else is doing at the minute, is putting all of these areas in one place. It's almost like a multi-platform with one login, where you can do everything, manage everything payments in one area. So it's massively efficient in terms of tracking. And we speak to a lot of accounts departments about how they currently reconcile their payments, and a lot of it will be, we've requested we sent an invoice out for a bank transfer, and now I'm having to check my online bank every hour because I've got one of the sales guys pestering me to make sure the money's gone through. But it would automatically reconcile on this Blink platform. So you would send the pay link out, you can see whether they've opened it, you can see whether they've opened it and not paid it, and then you can see when the money's actually been paid. So it makes the whole payment journey from start to finish a lot easier to manage, and ultimately it gives you a lot more control, which when we launched this and we were sort of in the discovery phase of Blink and trying to understand, we knew we had a great product, but understand how it would really fit in. I think that was a huge area for us, the reporting, the reconciliation, and giving visibility to accounts teams on tracking their payments and watching them come in. Because if you're 1 penny out, you might as well be a million, if it's not adding up. So all of those reports are completely actionable as well. You can download anything as a CSV and upload it to your accountancy softwares. We also integrate with accountancy softwares as well to take another step out of the journey. So I think that's, I think those two are probably the biggest ways. And I think apart from that, for us as a business, it's sort of always been our sort of consultative approach to how we work with people. First of all, we want to understand that it is the right fit. Then we really want to understand people's payment journeys, because we've been working together now, so we wanted to make sure that if we work with CPL, we can provide something that's going to be of real value to CPL clients, and having that integration there provides that value. So we've already got a really good value proposition. We didn't want to be in a position with yourselves where it was very much we'll work together, but what we've got isn't quite ready. What we've got isn't really going to solve many problems. But by having that consultative approach, understanding how a business needs to get paid, and then providing that, I think that's what sort of sets us apart from product. I think that's what really sets us apart from some of our competitors, and it's been real good value to industries like property and areas like that are slightly more complex with the way that they are paid. So having that sort of expert at the end of the phone has been really useful for the people that we're working with.
No. Certainly, from my point of view, it's been a useful partnership, and for our clients as well. I mean, the one thing you didn't mention, because maybe you didn't want to, is that there's quite a bit of cost saving versus what our clients are paying just now as well. Potentially, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of things that we assess immediately when we deal with people, because obviously, like I said, we want to provide the best solution. We want to make sure that payment journey from pay to reconciliation to the bank is as slick and easy as possible. But I mean, that being said, Brian, like you mentioned, we can always assess cost pricings, and making sure that solution, albeit much better, is also cost effective. There's a couple of things that have changed historically in our industry, regulations that have changed slightly, that are worked around, let's say, by certain businesses. So I mean, I mentioned it to you, I think one of the first times we spoke, that one of the things that we can assess straight away and remove is something called a non-secure charge. So really, heavily used in property, particularly. It's any transaction that's taken over the phone or through e-commerce as well. Banks can assess that and say, you know what, we'll put a non-secure charge on that because we deem that as a riskier transaction.
Yeah.
Yes, it is a slightly riskier transaction than if I walked into a shop and paid with my card, because I am there with my card putting in my PIN. That's the most secure way to do it.
Yeah.
But I mean, 5 years ago, you had to put non-secure transactions on those transaction types because the security wasn't where it is now. But we, as I mentioned earlier, we remove the risk of fraud. We are extremely compliant. There is no real risk to that. So when you see on your merchant statement for cards, Visa debit, for example, non-secure transactions, 0.4%. What that is it's just an extra fee that goes straight to the bank these days. I mean, there is a slight uplift for non-secure transactions, which is included in the interchanging scheme, but it's minimal. So that will just be a bank swallowing the rest of that charge. So that's something that we remove straight away. We get a statement in, we'll talk through a solution, we'll look at it and think, well, there's 4 different non-secure type fees here for these different card types. Let's remove them straight away. Oh, look, we found you a great saving just by doing that. And then we'll always look at the rates as well. We'll understand, okay, property management company A, we can see that you are taking a lot of these card types. Let's play around with that rate, lower that a little bit, and really tailor this package to you so that we can come up with a decent, cost-effective proposal.
Okay, and I take it that's what makes your fee structure different to traditional payment card providers, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, everyone sort of works in their own way a little bit. I mean, one of the things that we do pride ourselves on, and we've always done it since I've been here, was we're extremely transparent. So when we provide our fee structure, which is the interchange plus structure, it'll be made up of your interchange fee, scheme fee, which we have no control over, but we will present that as it is. And then it's our margin. And we will always show what our margin is. And our commitment to our clients is that our margin won't change.
Yeah.
So we'll say, look, these are the 2 fee types for each card type that we can't affect.
Yeah.
That is what it is. But we'll also say, look, this is our margin as a business. And, everyone accepts it. We are a business. We need to make some money as well.
Yeah.
That is our margin, and we won't change that. Whether the scheme fees are lowered, your whole rate will lower with that. Then we won't swallow that and think, brilliant. We've got a fixed rate here, but Visa have lowered their fee by 0.04%, so that's an extra 4 basis points to us.
Yeah.
The whole margin will go down with that. So, yeah, that's how we present it. Sometimes. I mean, before I joined here, that was like a different language to me, and sometimes it can be a challenge to communicate that. But we'll always be as transparent as we can. We're always happy to walk through any client, walk them through their payment structure, make them see exactly what they're paying and how that payment is created.
Excellent. No, that's good. That's really useful, because I have to say that when it's just one number, isn't it? Then you don't necessarily understand what makes that up, and but for someone to be transparent about the margin they're making, and you're right, profit's not a dirty word, and people should not think it is.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's seen as one sometimes. I think especially with sales teams, they'll look at it and think, oh, I don't want them to know that I'm making money. But you think if you're not, then that would scream dodgier to me than anything.
And people have to have a lifestyle. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like when you used to go and see your IFA, and they organise some insurance for you, and they never showed you the profit or their commission off it, and now they need to show it. And there was an uproar. It's like, well, these guys are doing this for you. They need to make money, So you can't. They're not going to do it for nothing. So so no, I do get it. It's frustrating when people do think it. Although sometimes when I have work done in my house, maybe I need to tell myself that as well. But never mind.
Yeah, I mean that's completely different, Brian. That's completely different.
Okay, so we've talked about your fee structure. We've talked about kind of price or and things like that, and or and the benefits, and also fraud. But so that probably makes up a huge amount of things that may make Blink different. But what does make Blink different from other payment providers in the world in that respect?
Of course, I think, to be honest, it's sort of a summary of what we've spoken about. I think number one, would be is that we are doing something that no one else is at the minute, and it's, lots of businesses are doing a part of what we're doing, but what we've done is we've put it all into one space. So we're providing 3 different payment rails in car payments, direct debit, and open banking. We are providing reporting and reconciliation on all 3 of those on the same platform. We've got full customization on all those payment methods as well. So for example, if you send out a payment link by whatever payment rail you choose, you can customize that link to match your branding. So we're effectively giving businesses the tools to market through payments, which no one else does. And then finally, on that same platform, we've got our whole support network on there as well. So yes, we've always prided ourselves on our support, and we still encourage people to call in when they can, because we've got an extremely fast pickup time. But we've also got live chat on there. We've got ticket raising on there for specific queries. If we understand that a business might be in a position where they can't step away from something for 20 minutes to have a conversation with us and understand what the problem is. So raise a ticket, track that through there. I think they're the 4 main areas of Blink which do set us apart. Having payments, reporting, customization, and support all in one hub with one login. I think that is the main differential that we are providing at the minute, and it's quite exciting to be a part of it. Something that no one else is doing, and bringing it to market, and and taking huge step forwards with it. It's an exciting time for us. But yeah, I think as well, the other things I mentioned, I think what's always set us apart, even before we had that solution, that product that we're providing now, was our consultative approach to clients, and also our unrivaled support. I think that's always set us apart in a way, and I think we still maintain that, while now also offering an excellent product which is market leading. So I think it's a combination of those really. And then sort of just being, which is the basics really, just being honest and open with everyone that we engage with. So I think a combination of those, to be honest.
Yeah, good. I mean, it's certainly, from the point of view of our interactions with you, that's all I've ever seen. I mean, I know I've not dealt with a huge amount, and Crawford's most dealt with it more, but that's certainly the feedback I've got from him as well. Okay, brilliant. Well, thanks for that. Okay, so we're now on to our 3 quirky questions.
The quirky
Jax
questions
is going to ask you. So, Jax,
here we go.
Yeah,
Indeed,
here you go.
just finishing off as we do with a little lighter. Well, I don't know, it might not be some of your questions, your answers. So the first one is, what's your biggest failure across your entire career, and what did you learn from it?
Oh, to mention it was going to be a lighter section, Jack. So
I know, sorry.
Go and drop that one on me. That's such an interview question, isn't it? I love that. I think it's an interesting one, because I think I know what it is. I think biggest failure across an entire career, I would say, probably is an inability to make mistakes. Which, when you first say it, sounds like it's not a failure at all. It's amazing, but it's not that I wasn't making mistakes. It was almost my perception of making mistakes. So, I've always, grown up, whether it's playing football or at school, or, when I started my working career, mistakes are such a bad thing. You can't make mistakes. They're such a negative. And then you almost try and subconsciously hide them. You won't, you make a mistake, you won't raise it. Or sometimes you will really try and avoid making mistakes, and then your output goes down because you're not doing enough. But, I had an old sales manager who I still work with now, that sort of, he sat me down, and you've got to understand that mistakes are so important, in development, in progression, but just, understanding and learning from them. If you're not doing that, what are you doing? You're not moving forward. And if you're not putting yourself in a position where you are making mistakes, then are you really pushing yourself? So I think I had that sort of cloud over my head for a long time when I was much younger, where, it's not that you wouldn't own up to mistakes, but you wouldn't be forthright with them. Your manager would end up finding out that you've made a mistake, rather than you just going up and saying, oh, I've tried this, it hasn't worked. And then you learn from it, and then you don't make that mistake again. So I think that was probably the biggest failure I had. It's not sort of a one-off, I was having a conversation with this client, I did something wrong. It was more of an ongoing that, I was I wasn't using mistakes in a positive way. I was sort of seeing them as such a negative reflection on myself rather than growing from them. And as soon as I sort of started viewing them differently and thinking, you know, because you see those things on LinkedIn all the time, don't you? You know, especially about entrepreneurs. It's, you know, 99 wrongs and then a right, things like that. And, you know, as soon as I started viewing it like that, you know, you've got all these mistakes, you need to capitalize and learn from them. It's so important to make mistakes so that you can develop from it. So I think that's probably the biggest failure I had, the biggest challenge I had when I was younger. But that's really brought the mood down, Jax, hasn't it?
No, not at all. It's interesting because you've just made me think about when I first started out. I'm 45 now, so I used to kind of hide or have this sort of fear or shame of making mistakes, and you would maybe try and cover it up, or feel like you couldn't go and tell someone for fear of retribution. And where does that come from? You know, is it actually is maybe schooling to blame? You know, because you get a gold star for doing really well, but what do you get for failing? You know, I don't know. It's a good point actually. I never really thought about it like that.
Do you not think? Just sorry, I know this is your bit, Jack, but do you not think it's about environment as well? The environment is in which you're working as well. Whether leaders actually actively seek you to learn from your mistakes, or whether they just give you a kicking for it, I guess.
It could be that. I mean, I think when I talk about my experience with it, I feel like I know where it stems from, and it was when, you know, I was young. I was maybe 8 or 9, and I was playing football, and it wasn't, you know, that time wasn't a serious level, but our manager was like, it was everything to him, and you know, you got to a stage where, you know, certain kids didn't really want to play anymore because, you know, the shouting you would get if you made a mistake at 8 years old. You know, you almost think, oh God, I don't really want the ball. I don't want to do this anymore because making a mistake was so bad. And I feel like maybe it's all stemmed from that.
Yeah, maybe.
So I think that could be right then, Brian. It would be maybe it's environment and leadership, and that's sort of instilled in you.
I've seen some cultures, and I mean, I'm marginally older than Jack's, well, maybe 7 years. But so, you know, I'm 52, and I've been working. I think I had my first, in IT career anyway. When I started, when I was 20, and so I've been around in this working in business for like 32 years, and I have seen some really, really, really bad kind of blame culture, of businesses where there is something goes wrong, and, you know, someone's head has to be on the block for it. You know, how that is never going to encourage people to want to talk about, you know, failure and actually learn from it. And okay, what did we learn from this today? Because, you know, now, okay, if you're going to make the same mistake 4 times and not do anything about it, then that's an entirely different thing, because you're not learning from them. But you know, but if you're in a blame culture environment, and that certainly sounds like that wasn't. I've seen some real toxic places, and the problem is some of the people there don't even realize that it's like that, because they just think that's the norm. They don't know what good is. You know, that they think that's good. They just think that's the norm. So yeah, I think you've hit on a good one there, to be fair.
Yeah, interesting. Thank you for that. The next question is, you've got quite a few years to go before you hit this milestone. When you're 70 and look back at your life, what will you be glad you did or feel proud of? Something you've either done already or still want to do?
Cool. That is such a tough one. It's something I've never thought about before, but I don't know. I think it's one of those ones where, I mean, I'm only 30, but you know, you look back, and if you'd asked me that 15 years ago, the answer would be completely different. You know, 15 years old, what do you want to? I want to be famous. I want to be a footballer. I want to do this. I want to do that. But now, to be honest, you know, I'm sort of the sort of person that doesn't really think past the next day in a way. Do you know what I mean? just enjoy myself day to day. But I think my mindset's changed maybe to now it's more about, you know, the people that I am actually close with and actually care about, rather than, you know, when you're younger, you want to be famous and you want to be a global superstar. You want everyone to love you. Now it's more maybe just, you know, as just doing making those people around you very proud. Where I imagine when you get older, your sort of your close circle would get smaller. Maybe, I don't know, but maybe just having. I'm trying to assume what I would want to have when I was 70, but maybe just have that that group of the people that were closest to you, your family and everything. Just have some sort of legacy there. Maybe look back, have lots of fond memories, have made real positive impacts for people. I suppose. I don't know. Apart from that, I have no idea where I'll be in 5 years. So to say what
No
I'm
5-year
proud
plan.
of, it's really tough. It's really tough. But I don't know. I suppose apart from that, I wouldn't really know.
Cool. No, thank you. I've actually skipped. I've done these round the wrong way this time. But the last one is, if you ruled the world for a day, what would you do?
See, this one's easy, Jax, and I don't know if this is because I've just moved away, but lived in London for however long. I would like to be able to implement an instant fine for anyone that walks on their phone. So when you're walking and texting, and it's because when you come down to London, everyone has to be everywhere as soon as possible, and I'll be a fast walker.
Yeah.
If I get stuck on even if I'm half an hour early and I'm stuck on an escalator behind someone that's walking incredibly slowly on their phone, I would never say anything because I'm English, but in my head I am absolutely furious. So and then I'll give them, when I walk past, I'll give them sort of a side-eye glare, but I would never say anything, God forbid. But I wish that I could just impose an instant fine of, I don't know, £200 walking on your phone, or even worse, walking and stopping on your phone in the middle of the pavement. I don't know if that's just me, but that is something I moan about frequently.
Yeah, it's not real difference to driving and being on your phone. You should be looking where you're going when you're walking. No, I totally agree. It's a pet hate of mine as well.
So the rules of the pavement dictate that you
Maybe
cannot
there could
be on
be
your phone.
some sort of
Unless you move to the side, stand against the wall or something, or a shop, and then you can browse. You're walking.
I just love that. Yeah, I think it's a tolerance thing, isn't it? You can't be tolerant of people like that. So
it drives me mad. Drives me absolutely mad. That's the one thing. I think I'm quite a tolerant bloke, but when it comes to that, no, that's the end of the line for me.
At least in London, they know which side of the escalator to stand on. That's something I used to about.
Oh well, you hope they know. That's another one. You've raised another one here. Probably ruin the rest of my day there, Jack. Yeah, that is absolutely another one.
It's something I really noticed because I used to live down south for a little while, not in London, but I used to go up to London every now and again, and I used to love going up to London on a Sunday morning to go to the gym because it was dead. It was so nice to walk about without any crowds. But when I moved back up here, my God, people just don't know how to use escalators up here.
It's mad, isn't it? I imagine it works out like this as well, because this is exactly what I do in that situation where you see them stand on the wrong side, so you can't walk past, but you walk down right behind them. You won't say anything. You'll just wait behind them, like extremely passively aggressively.
Sometimes I do say excuse me. If I can see that there's a way to get past, I'll say excuse me, and I will get down.
Very brave, Jax. I wouldn't mess with you then. You wouldn't see me stand in front of you on an escalator.
It just depends on what I'm doing and where I'm going, if I need to get there quickly or not. So.
I had that one yesterday. I find it in airports and service stations. I find people just lose spatial awareness in these places now. I drove from the Isle of Wight up to Glasgow yesterday, and we stopped in Norton Keynes on the M6 toll just for a toilet stop. So I'm walking to the toilet, and people just walk along, and they're in a thoroughfare. They're in that bit of the service station where everyone walks through, and they just stop because they're on their phone, or they stop and turn to someone because they're should we go in there? Well, there's 50 people who are about to do that sort of comic thing where they all run into each other because they all expected you not to stop. And I walked out, and I was out, and I was waiting for my other half, and then we were walking back, and I was just you could just see my face changing, and she just turned to me and said, you don't play very well with other people, do you? I actually do, but not when they're not in these sort of circumstances.
I'm with you. I'm absolutely with you, Brian. That's triggered me, that image.
That's cool.
Dear.
Thanks, Joe. That's my questions over.
Amazing.
Joe, thank you very much. That's been really good. That's been really good, and hopefully I'll catch up with you soon as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I've enjoyed it. Thank you for having me.
Cheers. Thanks.